Wow. All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Congressman Jared Huffman. It's my great honor to represent the lower Klamath Basin as part of my incredible North Coast district here in California. And it's also a great honor to be with the state and tribal and federal leaders that have come together to celebrate this historic occasion. You know, I represent the tribes of the lower Klamath Basin, including the Yurok and the Karuk tribes, who are represented by their chairs here today. And one of the most important aspects of today is celebrating the incredible deep connection that they have to the Klamath River. And that has been a huge part of what's driven this amazing partnership, which is the other thing I think we should be celebrating. What a team effort over many, many years, through many trials and tests and tribulations, but a team that these tribes were able to pull together that included environmentalists, fishermen, farmers, agencies at every level of government, a team that was so well put together that even when surprises and tests and setbacks came along, those on this team knew they could count on each other. They found a way through, and it's just been a great honor in my small contribution to this team to be part of the journey. This is going to be the largest river restoration in American history. And restoration works. The amazing thing about the resiliency of our environment and these salmon and steelhead that we're going to be bringing back is if you give them half a chance, they're going to do just fine. And the biggest thing we can do to allow that resiliency to bring this river back to life for the environment and for the people who count on it is to take these dams out. So I want to just salute everyone that has worked so hard over such a long period of time to bring us to this point. As we discussed in a little group conversation earlier, I said the hardest part of a relay race is not the start or the finish, it is the passing of the baton. And so many of you have been part of really generations of leadership in all of your respective capacities. You all played a very, very important role in getting us to this moment. So thank you to all of you for that, and for the end of these dams and the rebirth of the Klamath River. This is a great day. It is my great honor to now pass the podium, pass the baton, as it were, to someone who really contributed greatly to making this possible. In fact, you know, we're here for lots of reasons, but one of the reasons that we're here now on this cold day in December, I think, is to make sure that we can appropriately thank the Governor of Oregon, Kate Brown, who is leaving office, for her amazing contribution to this. She has just been a stalwart leader in every way, and I know every stakeholder who's worked so hard on this would affirm that. So Governor Brown, it's really my honor to now hand off to you, and thanks for all your leadership.
Good morning, everyone, and Congressman Huffman, thank you for truly your lifetime of work, and we are so incredibly grateful to your service to the state of California, to the entire United States, and of course the world. Thank you for your leadership. I have a lot of thank yous to do because I am leaving office in a few weeks. So I'm going to start with Secretary Haaland. You are an extraordinary leader. We are so fortunate to have you leading the department at this time in our nation's history. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your service. Chair James and Chair Atterbury, it's been an honor and a delight to work with you. I am so grateful that we are where we are now. I know there's a lot of work ahead, but I'm confident under your leadership that this amazing work will continue. Thank you. To all of my friends at Pacific Corps, we wouldn't be here where we are today without you, without your willingness to take a tough stand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are eternally grateful. There's a lot of folks from Oregon, but I want to specifically thank the folks that are serving on the Klamath River Renewal Corporation. Members, include Christina Woniowski. Christina, where are you? Thank you. Mike Carrier, give him a round of applause. He couldn't be here. And Jim Root, who couldn't be here either. Jim, thank you. Governor Ted, where are you? This work really started under his leadership, and Governor Ted Kulongowski, I am so grateful for your friendship, for your mentorship, for your regular lessons, and I'm just so glad you could be here today, and I thank you for continuing your service to the state of Oregon and these United States of America. Thank you. To my friends at the Confederated Tribes of Klamath, they are represented here today by their counselor at large, Natalie Ball. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I am grateful for the lessons provided to me by both Chairman Gentry and Chairman Dumont. They are both extraordinary leaders in their own right. These are not easy times for your people, and I just want you to know that you have the commitment of the state of Oregon as long as I am governor, and from me as long as I am living, to do everything I can to make sure that you have the tools and the resources that you need to thrive. And I am so pleased that you could join us today. Thank you. This moment has truly been decades in the making. For many of the people here, today is truly a culmination of a lifetime of work to restore the healthy waters and fish stocks of the Klamath Basin. Certainly, this has been quite a journey. It was 6 years ago that I stood with many of you and the other Governor Brown at the mouth of the Klamath River to sign the amended agreements, which started us on a new path, which brought us here today. And 2 years ago, while we couldn't be together in person, we were able to take the step to begin the transfer of ownership process that we are completing today. Today, we are making possible the most significant dam removal and river restoration project in our nation's history. It has taken nearly my entire tenure as governor, but finally, we can say with certainty that these dams are coming down, and it's about damn time. Over 400 miles of the Klamath River will flow freely again, something this region hasn't seen for over 100 years, since the first dam, Copco 1, was constructed. It is an incredibly important step on the path towards restorative justice for the peoples of the Klamath Basin and towards restoring the health of the river, as well as everyone and everything that is dependent upon it. I absolutely know that our tribal speakers today can better articulate than I just how special a moment this is for the peoples of the Klamath Basin. I have been so honored, alongside Governor Newsom, as representatives of our states, to work with your sovereign governments. From time immemorial, your peoples have been incredible stewards of the lands, waters, fish, and wildlife of the Klamath Basin. And in May, I again had the opportunity to meet with the Klamath tribes and visit their fish rearing pond in Chiloquin. I learned that in 30 years that there hasn't truly been a successful breeding pair of squam and cockatoo in the wild. Facilities like the Klamath fish rearing pond and the hatchery that we're at today are truly the only hope of survival for these iconic species. Today truly marks another step towards righting these types of historic injustices. I literally have a few short weeks left as governor. I am so honored that I can share this moment with all of you, but I am leaving office knowing that together we will be restoring these waters for generations to come. Thank you. And with that, I'm also really honored to turn it over to my good friend and colleague, Governor Newsom. I have to tell you, he is governor of the fourth largest economy in the world. And he has been, despite everything else going on, he has been a fantastic partner in these efforts. Please welcome Governor Gavin Newsom, great state of California. Thank you.
All right. It's about damn time. That's the talking point. We're done. The press conference is over. You got your headline. Deservingly so, Governor Brown. All of you, thank you for the privilege and opportunity. We all had the opportunity. I think I'm seeing all the same faces I just saw a moment ago, so I don't want to repeat myself and don't necessarily want to repeat everything that's been said, but it would be remiss if I didn't just, again, extend gratitude, appreciation, and just deep reverence and respect to all of you, so many of you, people in positions of formal authority that have the privilege often of being up here on the podium, but those of you that are in the audience that have something more powerful and potent, that's moral authority. The folks out there that exercised your leadership every single day, that dialectic that we had throughout this process, where you expected and demanded more, you expressed that at times, and sometimes it was uncomfortable. Other times it was absolutely justifiable. I just want to thank you for making this moment possible, because it was the sum total of all of those acts, all of those moments over the course, quite literally, of decades that led to this moment. But the other thing that I want to express is a little humility in this respect, and it goes to what Jared and others, the congressman, was saying. You know, I think it's been said about Mother Nature, she bats last, she bats 1,000. She's chemistry, biology, and physics. This notion of resiliency, and this notion, as Governor Brown was saying, of time, in relationship to her role and responsibility as governor of Oregon, my role and responsibility as governor of California. I have a few more years. We're given a moment in time. And yet there are things that transcend. And that's really what we're celebrating here today, time immemorial, the historic wrongs, historic framework that sort of puts your life and the journey we're all on in perspective, how our wisdom's a little bit too limited, the world's a little too small, and our time is a hell of a lot too short to win fleeting victories at other people's expenses. And so what we're doing here today is we're triumphing together, and that's a remarkable thing. That spirit of partnership, spirit of collaboration, this fundamental notion that if you want to go, far, you got to go together. And so I look around the room, and former Secretary of Interior and former governors, and I'll close just in the spirit of Congressman Huffman's comments about this notion of a relay race. I think it was Plato who said, "There's any hope for the future, those with lanterns." I like the idea of a lantern. If there's any hope for the future, those with lanterns will pass them on to others. This notion of shining a bright light on social justice and economic and racial justice, cultural rights. And so I'm really proud to be here. And you don't get to say that often in politics because you don't get to legislate pride. It's not a bill. It's not a veto. It's, just happens. And that's when people come together across differences, but with a sense of urgency and purpose and passion and wisdom. And so thank you for shining a bright light on the injustices that have been perpetuated against two of the most remarkable and extraordinary tribal nations in our country. And how proud I am, Governor Brown, to be a partner with you and your remarkable leadership over all of these years, from the day I got into office, where she focused my attention on this as a core responsibility of being governor of California, to, and I wasn't joking when I said this, the moment we walked in, where she said, "You guys need to put up more money at the end to keep this going." And the final words, that is our commitment. Commitment, not passing interest, to be here not just today, but in 2023, in those first first dam comes down, and here in 2024 when all the dams are gone, and for the many decades it will take for the restoration to fully take shape and to advance the cause that unites us. So congratulations, everybody. What a remarkable moment. And Chuck Bonham, thank you, brother, for your spirit you brought to this throughout the entire process. With that, speaking of spirit and pride and humility, Chairman, thank you for all your incredible leadership, but more importantly, for the spirit you have provided throughout this entire process. It's my great honor to recognize you and to thank you and ask you to come up here, Chairman James.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, let me give a round of thanks. Thank you, Governor Brown. From Oregon and California, running point, how to work together, how to work with tribes. And again, before I get to ask what this means, that's a number of questions that'll happen throughout the day or the week or the years. Governor Newsom, when I first saw you in the lawn, laying it down, the commitment and the passion. I didn't just hear words. Yourself, your administration, not just for Yurok, for Indian country in California. I say this all the time. Our governor's running point, how it should be, how you should work with tribes, how you should talk with tribes, your cabinet, your secretaries. And again, I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. Congressman Huffman, thank you for your leadership for Congress. We've worked on many projects and continue to work on many tribes for the hearing of dam removal, answering the bell, providing that leadership, that expertise for yourself, John, and your team. It's a privilege and an honor. I just want to say thank you again as a secretary. You mentioned creator earlier ago. Absolutely. No, we're here together. In this room with other tribal leaders, and we're not just doing it, as for us here, but for across the nation, for tribes of healing, prayer. Creator has answered our prayers. As a Secretary of Interior, thank you for filling that role, that job, that task. Very difficult job working across the states. And again, I just want to thank you with love and respect, and just thank you. What does this mean to us? It means a lot of things. It means our heart, our passion, our commitment. For me, we always go back to our culture, our prayers, our dances, our ceremonies. Our prayers have been answered. Whether we're fasting, whether we're doing our ceremonies. It's truly an honor. It's heartfelt. It's passion. It's a time in history that our people are going to look back, where Oregon, California, 2 governors, Congress, and tribal leaders answered the bell and paved the way. This is how things get done. It's complex, it's difficult, but we're used to that. But we keep striving forward for the heart and passion, a commitment for everybody that paved the way that's no longer here no more. People that are here now, our children get to be able to walk the riverbanks post dam removal. They won't know this here, but we'll tell them about the history and the hard work, that how we got to this point and how we partner with our partners, agencies, state level, county levels, all elected officials, partners, agencies. You know what? I heard family, when I first came into the office with our team is, we're going to approach this as a village level. This is how we work together, tackling this from villages and as family. And you are part of our family. That's how we look and think of our environment, our natural resources, our fish. There's nothing that we will do as Indigenous people, as Yurok, to fight for our river and our water and our salmon, how important it is to us. So again, it's a proud day. But again, we've got a number of years of work ahead of us regarding restoration and management, which is another beautiful thing that we're willing to roll up our sleeves again and continue to work with our partners all in this room and people that are not here. So I just want to thank you. Next, I want to introduce Chairman Atterbury. from Karuk tribe. Going up.
Yuki Kowada. Hello, everyone. My name's Buster Atterbury. I'm the Karuk Tribal Chairman. And Chuck, first of all, thank you for all you've done. Always been accessible, always listening to the tribes. And I apologize. Didn't mean to rush you. I thought you wasn't going to give me enough time to thank everybody. And so I rushed through it. But I will, and like I said, it's great to see Sally Jewell, former secretary. We had some great moments, a few setbacks, and now we're here today, and it's been a real success story. Craig Tucker, a special thanks. Craig was here in the early years. He's put pretty much a life's work into this project. Thanks, Craig. And so I do have to tell the story about Craig, because he was here before, working for the tribe before I was. I was living in Redding. And by the time I moved home, I had heard all these stories. What a mean guy this is. I mean, when I met him, I expected him to be 6'4", with a handleable mustache, and when he come home, his dog hid under the porch. It wasn't. Craig's a well-educated, smart, family man, which I like a lot, and he just had a passion for what he does. That's what he went away and studied. And that's what we want to embrace nowadays, is to, and Craig knows both ways, to introduce tribal ecological knowledge into the equation. Combine that with the science that he became a PhD in doing, and had a passion for his job, and maybe it rubbed some people the wrong way, but it was the right thing to do. And thank you, we got the job done. Obviously, Congressman Huffman, all your support, and all you do for Indian country and your district down there. You affect a lot of people. Governor Brown, thank you. Been there every step of the way. And Governor Newsom, in many ways, thank you for. First, if we have an issue, we have to recognize it, and then we can come up with solutions. And it's always done better if we work together. And I think Governor Newsom has done a fantastic job in helping bring awareness and to recognize the injustices and the issues that we have, and look for solutions. Again, my dream is to not only bring the salmon back, but bring back a way of life, bring back to restore that culture. Heard Congressman Huffman talk about restoration works. We used to call it logging. Now we call it restoration projects. I like that. Spent a lot of years in the lumber industry, and there are ways we can actually restore those creeks and streams that feed our rivers, and enhance and we understand Mother Nature's way, and combine tribal ecological knowledge and the knowledge of observation from generation to generation with modern science. That's the best way to go. But yeah, there is some work to do. So I'm very happy to be here today. Happy to see the results. Look forward to the fish coming back home. With that being said, I want to introduce. You've heard talk about these situations, and Secretary Deb Haaland is the first Native American Secretary of the Interior in 151 years. And it's important, and it's just an honor to have her here today, because she recognizes the importance to the Native American culture and the the effort to push forward co-management ideas that we just talked about, combining those sciences, she understands that we have to do that. That been generations. Native Americans always give prayers to Mother Nature, and we need to protect and preserve them. And most importantly for me is Secretary Haaland is going to be such a role model for our young ladies out there, for our young women that might, you know, the teen years, and those are pretty tough. Sometimes your self-esteem gets low, and somebody will come home and tell the story about Deb Haaland and how she worked her way up and she gained the respect of the whole nation, and they'll think, I can do that too. So it's inspiring our young ladies. She's a pioneer, and we thank her. My honor to introduce Secretary Deb Haaland.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad I have this heavy coat. That's all I can say. Well, it's an honor for me to be here and to see all of you. Thank you so much, Chairman, for your kind words, and Chairman for the tribal leaders for your perseverance. We hear that word a lot, but it really is perseverance against sometimes really insurmountable odds when we look at all the eras of federal Indian policy in this country. One of which were dams across the entire country without ever once consulting with tribes about what it meant to their lives or their cultures. And so I recognize that, and I am so honored to be here in all of your presence today. So thank you very much. And it is truly an honor on such a joyous occasion. Congressman Huffman, my dear former colleague, Governors Newsom and Brown, thank you for your tremendous leadership, for all you do to serve the great people of your states, and of course to the tribal leaders who are all here. Thank you for your partnership, your leadership, and your tireless work of stewarding our lands and waters. We have profound opportunities to learn from you, and I'm grateful for your generosity in sharing your knowledge with us. It means a tremendous amount to me as secretary and to all of us who work there, hoping to live up to your expectations of how we should treat this earth. Today we celebrate not just the forthcoming removal of this dam, but the larger significance of this moment. Clean water, healthy forests, and fertile land made the Klamath River Basin and its surrounding watershed a home to tribal communities, productive agriculture, and a place where abundant populations of migratory birds, suckers, salmon, and other fish could thrive. But over the past 20 years, the basin has been met with unprecedented challenges due to the ongoing drought conditions, limited water supply, and diverse needs. We must take urgent and necessary action to protect this special place. Every step forward matters to ensure the basin and its habitats can continue to flourish in perpetuity. The milestone we honor today is the culmination of nearly 2 decades of efforts of finding a path to remove the dams, open up hundreds of miles of historic salmon habitat, improve water quality, and restore the river and the fishery the basin tribes have relied upon since time immemorial. For as long as the indigenous peoples of this area have stewarded this land, the fish in the river have held a prominent, sacred place within their lives. From food and sustenance to spiritual connections, the role of fish to tribal communities has been central, and we must do all we can to protect and honor that relationship. Which is why today, in addition to celebrating this momentous occasion, I am also so proud to announce new efforts the Interior Department is taking to protect these aquatic ecosystems in the face of worsening drought and extreme climate impacts. Today, I am announcing that 4 tribal water projects in Oregon and California's Klamath River Basin will receive $5.8 million through the Bureau of Reclamation to restore aquatic ecosystems, improve the resilience of habitats, and mitigate the effects of the ongoing drought crisis. Thank you. So there's the money, Governor Newsom. The funding for the Hoopa Valley, Karuk, Yurok, and Klamath tribes is made available through Reclamation's Native American Affairs Technical Assistance to Tribes program. From protecting salmon migration patterns to bolstering the resilience of the river system, the projects we are funding today will help restore this once abundant ecosystem for the benefit of all. This funding supplements nearly $26 million from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law allocated this year for Klamath Basin restoration projects, including nearly $16 million for ecosystem restoration projects in the basin and $10 million to expand the Klamath Falls National Fish Hatchery. Taken together, these investments and the dam removals will make critical strides to restore aquatic ecosystems, improve the resilience of habitats, and mitigate the effects of the ongoing drought crisis. We couldn't do any of this work without all of you. As we move forward, we will continue to do so in close collaboration with local and state leaders, tribal communities, and community stakeholders. I am also so grateful to my predecessors, including former Secretary of the Interior, Sally Jewell, who is with us today. Thank you. Who laid the foundation for this major milestone. Thank you so much, Secretary Jewell, for everything you have done. I'm so grateful for our friendship. Thank you. We are committed to protecting this special place for decades to come so that future generations will know the same abundance and beauty of the Klamath River Basin as all of your ancestors did. Thank you again for having us today. Let it continue to be a day of celebration and joy, and I am truly honored to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Exactly, yeah. Please.
How are you all feeling today? Awesome.
Yeah, that's a remark. I think the word was pride. This is extraordinary. Old adage, God's delays are not God's denials. I think there's been a sense of, ongoing anxiety that's been expressed, and doubt that this would ever come together. And I think, we're here is testament to people's faith and devotion to this cause. And it's, a time when there's a lot to, feel negative about. This is really a remarkable moment to celebrate. And so I hope we are all taking the time to reflect on what this means for generations of people, for our great-great-grandkids. And so I'm really proud of the incredible work these folks have done.
Governor Newsom, can you talk about the economic impact the project will have?
Yeah, it's incalculable what, a river like this, one of the mightiest and most majestic rivers in the world, can do to an economy. We already know the Klamath Basin as it relates to people not only live here and thrive here, but also people that visit here from around the globe. The opportunity to extend this 350 to 400 miles and to get salmon runs coming from the Pacific Ocean all the way up to Oregon, to be able to connect to our proud past. That's incalculable in terms of the economic opportunities that present themselves anew. But there's also a deeper frame, and that's a cultural recognition, a historic frame of restoring rights and our responsibilities to people that came here long before us. And I think that's something that you can never put a price tag on.
Secretary Haaland, there's a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen once the dams come out and the restoration takes place. What would success be to you?
Well, I think that it's already successful that the dams are coming down, because that's what the tribes have been advocating for a very long time. And I am really proud that we are in a new era for Indian tribes in this country. As you know, the Department of the Interior works hard to uphold the trust and treaty obligations of the United States government to our nation's 574 federally recognized tribes. And there was so much infrastructure that happened in this country over the centuries, happened without ever asking the tribes what they thought about it or getting their input. And now tribal consultation is real, it's robust, it's happening across the president's administration. That is something that he has charged all of us with. President Biden has made tribal consultation one of his top priorities, and we're living up to that. So I think that it's a success no matter how you look at it. It has to be successful because that is what they have been wanting for a long time. And over, the chairman today, the tribal leaders who shared their remarks with us earlier, their remarks, their wisdom, their heartfelt gratitude about this point in time, is that they are gaining back aspects of their culture that they felt would be lost forever. And so you can't put a dollar sign on any of that. It's something that is meaningful, that their ancestors worked hard to protect. And so I am really proud to stand here on this day to celebrate this historic opportunity for tribes, and really honored and proud that I have 3 individuals behind me who have respected this process and who have really shown leadership and collaboration, quite frankly, with the tribes in their states, and I'm just really happy to be here.
Well, the removal of these 4 dams will create over 400 miles of free-flowing river, and I think it is absolutely extraordinary that after years and years of hard work, lifetimes of work, that we are here today at this particular moment. In terms of outcomes, I think we are looking at species preservation. The Klamath tribes rely both spiritually, culturally, and as a food source on 2 species of suckerfish that are found only in one location in the entire world. And it is my hope that with the dam removal, we will be able to preserve those species as well as ensure future preservation of the salmon coming off the Klamath. In terms of fire, this region has been impacted by drought, and the work that we are doing in collaboration with the sovereign nations in terms of restoration, I think will be absolutely significant, both in terms of water quantity and water quality, both of which are critically important. So I hope as we begin to do this restoration work, as we continue to do this restoration work, you will see more water in the basin. But we also obviously need to continue to work to conserve it as well. The other piece that needs to continue to happen, and we saw this very clearly on the bootleg fire a couple of years ago, and that is creating healthier public lands. That is thinning and burning. We are looking to our tribes for their knowledge in terms of landscape restoration, and we have got to lean into that work as well. That will help with efforts moving forward, I believe. So, Governor Newsom.
Literally, I have nothing to add. I think you hit every point. I think that there's a sort of intangible point, and that is partnership. And I think what this process has forged is relationships. And across the spectrum, tribal nations, but also between the states. This Pacific Coast Collaborative we have can't be taken for granted between California, Oregon, and Washington. The fact that we're working in shared partnership with the Biden administration, no longer a closed fist, but an open hand, a working partner, not a sparring partner, as it relates to healthy forests and dealing with the issues of prescribed burns and making sure that we're balancing our forestry work with our preservation and restoration work. So it's a new day. And this spirit of, well, again, this partnership is very alive, not only in terms of this announcement, but in terms of that work specifically as it relates to fuels management and wildfire management. Well, Jared, you got all the money in Congress.
Well, I wish Congress could take credit for this, but the truth is, yes, the Department of Interior is a partner, but the states of Oregon and California, as well as Pacific Corps, the owner, former owner now I can say, of these dams, are contributing the lion's share of funding. Of course, long term, we're doing more than just taking the dams out. We'll be working for decades to restore this watershed, and absolutely, my colleagues in Congress and I will do our part to contribute with the department.
Certainly the state of Oregon has stepped up in providing at least our fair share, but I just have to say I'm really proud of the Oregon legislature for continuing to invest in the basin, provided millions of dollars for wetland mitigation, for ensuring that public lands moving forward are more healthy, more resilient to wildfire, and frankly that people living in the basin who frankly lost their water, we are providing over 500 households with the water they need each day to bathe, to eat, etc. And so really proud of the work we are doing, the state of Oregon is doing to ensure that the community can continue to thrive.
And just for what it's worth, I mean, just last year we appropriated about $250 million specifically in terms of one of our sort of incremental partnership contributions, third. Pacific Corps will have a role in that respect. Our Public Utilities Commission in the state of California will play a pivotal role, but we recognize dam removal is one thing, but the restoration projects over the course of time will require additional resources. And I made the commitment, the press conference, I'll reinforce it here today. We're here for the long haul, and we recognize the work's not done when the dams are removed. The work then begins anew in the next phase, and that's the exciting and enlivening phase, and that's the phase we want to be deeply involved with for years and years to come.
Secretary Haaland, there are a lot of groups involved in this project. How do you ensure that everyone's interests are satisfied?
So we make it a practice to talk to people. This started happening long before President Biden got elected and I became Secretary of the Interior. So I know that conversations are always ongoing. The best conservation projects are the ones that are community led. And I know that earlier the folks who were here in that tent celebrating today, they're not just me and my colleagues, they're people from across the community, tribal community, environmental community, conservation community who care deeply about restoration work in our country and the future that we will hand to our children and grandchildren. So we have ongoing conversations with everyone before any project is undertaken, and we'll continue that practice.
Secretary Haaland, a bit lower question. So obviously today was a day of celebration, but for those maybe who are opposed to the approval process, are you feeling any sense of uncertainty that this might not be as successful as we're hoping?
Well, I feel very strongly that everyone had a voice in this process over the last 2 decades. So I think the best thing we can do is make this a success. The governors and my former colleague talked a lot about continued restoration of this watershed, reintroducing species of fish that once thrived in this area. Those are all things that will benefit not just this community, but our entire country. We have an obligation to future generations to pass a world on to them that we have been able to enjoy and that our ancestors enjoyed. So I feel very strongly that this is a positive step forward for our country at large, and really honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
I would like you to take a photo if you're willing
Yes.
with the
Oh,
counselor at
absolutely.
large.
Yes, come.